Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we got the next edition of our upgrade guides. These guides are specifically only using characters that are from Final Fantasy, cards that were released within the Final Fantasy set or within the bonus sheet. Now there's obviously going to be some potentially from the different secret layers that you could put in here, but I'm focusing more around just the actual set, because secret layers are going to be harder to get. So this one here we've got is the Revival Trance Precon. So this is built around Terra or Celeste. I think that Celeste is probably your better commander, and that was probably be who I would set as commander. In fact, I'm going to do that right now because I do think that Celeste is the better commander. In fact, according to the actual people who made the deck, Celeste was originally the commander and then they switched it to Terra later on. So Celeste has basically, when she comes in, you're going to discard any number of cards and draw that many cards +1. And then whenever a creature enters, one or more creatures enter, if they come from the graveyard or were cast from a graveyard, you're going to put +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So you can tell this is like a reanimation deck, selectively getting cards into your graveyard. And that's what I'm leaning more into, because the deck originally, I'll talk about it like in a different video a little bit, but it kind of had just a splattering of a whole bunch of different legendaries, and that was really it. Like, it didn't actually focus down on the actual mechanics as much as some of the other precons did. This one had just a heap of legendaries that did a heap of different things, and then a kind of reanimation package as a part of it. So let's go through my new additions here that I've added from the main set or from the bonus sheet. They also come from FIC as well, so some of them do come from the different commander decks. So this is Path to Exile. This one came from the Final Fantasy X deck. Added it in because I think it's better removal than was in the precon. We've got Restoration Magic to help protect our board, because this deck can get a really big board with a whole lot of +1/+1 counters on there. And then if your stuff gets removed or board wiped, it's going to be annoying. So this gets us past that, essentially. We've got Deadly Dispute. 1, this is going to give us card draw and treasure. And 2, we can use it on one of our creatures to selectively put it into the graveyard at instant speed, to then be able to reanimate later on. So if someone's going to use an Exile card on you, then you can use this to, actually get that card into the graveyard instead of into Exile, which means you're going to be able to bring it back yourself. It's also just great card draw. We've got Garland, Knight of Cornelia here. He has, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, surveil 1. There's a bunch of non-creature spells in here that work okay with it. He's a decent body. He can get reanimated by Terra or Squall. And then on the other side, he does have, a decent flip version of him if you do want to cast him actually from the graveyard as well. Let you kind of bring in this 5/5 flyer here. That side's not great. Most of the time you're just going to be keeping him around to selectively surveil. We've got Judge Magister Gabranth, because we do have some kind of sacrifice stuff within this. This works okay. But even outside of the sacrifice stuff, this allows you to be able to block with your things. They die. The judge gets bigger. He attacks. He's got menace. Any treasure-based stuff works okay with this as well. Resentful Revelation is a nice kind of, selective card draw. You get to look at the top 3. You're going to put one into your hand and then put the rest into the graveyard. You can flashback it, but realistically you don't need to, unless you somehow manage to mill it with Terra. Vincent's Limit Break is going to allow you to be able to save something. If it's going to die, you can bring it back. But until it comes back, it's going to potentially be huge, right? Like if you use this at, let's say you use it at its biggest power, it's going to be it's going to be 4 and a black to make it into a 7/2. That's really going to catch people off guard. And yeah, it gets big. It then comes back with that whole, undead, fake your own death kind of style thing. Elena Turk Recruit is really nice. She's going to be coming from, I believe she was the Final Fantasy VII Precon. And she has, whenever she enters, reanimate something, regrowth, I think it is, bring it back from the graveyard to your hand, a non-assassin historic card. So there's a bunch of legendaries in here, they can come back. And then also whenever you cast a historic spell, you're going to put a +1 counter on it. Again, there's a bunch of legendaries in this deck. Joshua Phoenix Dominant, on the front side, he's going to be doing card draw, which is okay, and selective discard, which is okay. On his flip side, though, he's got a nice reanimation. There is not very many reanimate cards within this set, right? Like there was Some that are in the Precon, there's like one sorcery that does it, and then there's him and then one other card that does it. So this allows you to be able to reanimate nicely, deal some damage along the way as well as a flying lifelinker. Sephroof is going to be our nice our sacrifice outlet, so he lets you sacrifice things. You're not entirely likely to flip him. Unless it's like a board wipe or something, right? Like you need to have 4 things die. We will have something to be able to selectively sacrifice stuff. So you could potentially sacrifice enough of everything else to flip him, then reanimate those things with something else. He just works well in the deck because of the fact that, you've got that sacrifice stuff. You then end up flipping him. He becomes a big thing. And then you get to potentially sacrifice stuff again. And yeah, there's some cool things that you could potentially pull off with him, and then with the reanimations too, especially if you know that you've got Rise of the Dark Realms in your hand, because you can selectively, you flipped him over, you attack with him, you sacrifice everything else, and then main phase 2, you can Rise of the Dark Realms, bring it all back, and bring everyone else's stuff in too. We got Vanat, Hearth of Hydaelyn here. We do have enough, I think, legendaries that this works well. I kind of, when I went and did the upgrades for it, I did add a fair few legendaries in here. I don't know how much you're likely to kind of flip it here. Pay 7, Tapper, Exile, a different thing. So it's like a removal. But then on the other side, she does have, you get to put a +1 on something, and then it becomes indestructible and you get card draw. So on this side, God, she's yeah, okay. God. She's pretty strong on this side. I don't know. It's quite expensive to flip, but even just on this side, it's card draw. It's a 3/3. You can reanimate her with either Terror or Squall. It's pretty decent. We've got Luminous Broodmoth here. So this one is coming from Final Fantasy X's Precon. Again, whenever a creature you control dies, return to the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Now anything dying gets to bring back. I like it. I think it's great, especially in this deck. It is great. It's just really good. I don't think I have to explain that. Nibblehelm, a flame, a really great board wipe. That also, when you flash back it, is going to give you a whole bunch of card draw. You could do huge things with it. We've got Phantom Train here, selectively, sacrifice things, get it big, and then and that's at instant speed as well, right? Instant speed, sacrifice something, then reanimate it, potentially with Squall or something. I don't know. There's lots of cool things you could potentially pull off with this. Speaking of Squall, here is our Squall that I've talked about a couple times here. Just whenever you deal combat damage to a player, return target permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. We've got Golbez here as a reanimation kind of trigger. We've got the fact that whenever a thing dies, he's going to deal damage. We've got the fact that, basically anything that you're doing with the graveyard is going to trigger him, as well as you get to mill things as well. Cleve is huge here because whenever he enters, you're going to discard your hand, then draw cards, potentially drawing a huge amount of cards. On the flip side, you're going to be able to flip him and then potentially flip him back, especially if you do have haste somehow. There's not a huge amount of haste. Actually, I don't think there's any haste really in this deck of the anger, I think. And then he does fight something here. But on this side, it's discard your hand, draw cards, selectively get things into the graveyard. Some great stuff there. And then finally, Summon Knights of Round here is going to be great. It gets reanimated by Terror because of the fact that it is 3 power, which means Terror can reanimate it, which means you can play it, go through all of these chapters, and then just bring it back, because why not? All right, getting into our cuts. I cut Wayfarer's Bauble. I didn't feel we needed it. We've got, enough stuff for card draw and everything like that we can potentially kind of keep our hand filled with lands, so we're okay without it. Same with Mindstone. These are both sacrifice things that are okay, but in the deck, we're not really reanimating this kind of stuff. We're just wanting to reanimate creatures. Knight's Whisper, I added better card draw than this. Legions to Ashes, we've got a better single target removal with the Path to Exile coming in. Same with the Mortifier as well there. Setzer, this is one thing that I was looking at. There is a whole bunch of legendaries, right? There's a bunch of legendaries in this deck, and they're not too bad legendaries, right? Setzer's not too bad. Not necessarily within this deck though, right? He's just a legendary overall that does stuff that you know, is not going to be super duper worthwhile unless you kind of build around it a bit more. This deck with like the reanimation and stuff, it's not it. We've got Strager on Realm, which is a kind of weird theft-ish kind of card. Again, just a legendary that doesn't synergize incredibly well with the deck. Espers to Magicide here, exile each opponent's graveyard, and then you get to steal something from it. Right, like, I just don't think it's great. Same with Palace Jailer. I don't know. There's some stuff in here that just feels like it was more kind of thematic rather than feeling like it should actually kind of fit the deck with the reanimation themes and stuff. Archof of Depravity is not too bad, like as a pseudo kind of removal-ish kind of thing. Making people sacrifice things is okay. In the base deck of this, you know, it's not going to do too badly, but I feel like with the upgraded version of it, we've got stuff that kind of synergizes better, adding in more legendaries because of the fact that we've got some more legendary synergies in here. Just kind of moving away from this actually feeling good. Tragic Arrogance is a board wipe. We've got Nibblehelm instead, which I think was better. Combustible Gearhulk is a big creature, right? Like, it's a big creature that doesn't do a huge amount in this deck, in my opinion. Like, you can either draw 3 cards or we can mill things. There's better card draw. Like, I'd rather have Cleve out and play Cleve than do this, in my opinion. Ruin Grinder, again, feels similar. You know, I'd rather just get that card draw from either one of the other things. Umoro Raging Yeti. Like, I've played against this and it's good if they get the top section. If they get the top section, it's absolutely insane. The deal 5 damage isn't too bad either. Like, it's not bad, but I'd rather have stuff that's in my control. Angel of the Ruins, you know, is quite expensive. We can't really hit it for reanimation very well because of the fact that it's just 7. And it doesn't have, like, you know, it's 7 power, which means, 7 mana value, which means it doesn't get hit by Squall. It's 5 power, which means it doesn't get hit by Terror. Neither of those kind of really work alongside. Same with Umoro, realistically. It doesn't really work alongside our reanimation things that are actually built within the deck. We've got Kefka Dancing Mad. Again, another kind of theft card, which is okay, but realistically not going to be doing a huge amount, given the fact that, you know, first of all, you need to get your end step. He could just potentially get removed with exile removal, not destructible, because he is indestructible. You can't just destroy him, but still, like, it's okay. But you're also relying on your opponents actually having stuff in their graveyard that's worthwhile. When if this deck went into milling everyone and then you're bringing things back that you've milled and everyone else's stuff just stays in mill, sure, that would be okay. But honestly, like, there's just a bunch of stuff that's just more worthwhile here that we've added in. Meteor Golem, same, like, it's pay 7. It comes in to destroy something, which is okay given the fact that Terror can reanimate it. But yeah, I'd rather have something that, you know, works better. We can, you know, use that other chick to do an exile target non-land permanent, right? Like the legendary chick here. I just feel like there's better kind of stuff that synergize well that we've added in. And then we've finally got Sepulchral Primordial Intimidate. When it enters, for each opponent, you may put up to 1 target creature. Like, it's reanimation, but it's also only reanimating your opponent's stuff, not your own stuff. It could if it could reanimate, like, for each player, and then you could bring something of your own back, plus take things from each opponent, okay. Like, you'll see that a bunch of the stuff that I've kind of cut through here was kind of some of the theft stuff, especially stealing from opponents' graveyards. Yeah, I guess that kind of worked when you had the Archof of Depravity in there, but I'd rather just reanimate our own stuff for, like, better synergies, discard our own stuff for better synergies there, or, you know, selectively even sacrifice our own stuff, right? Like, just kind of work alongside our own deck rather than relying on opponents' decks, I think is a much better game plan. But I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. This is the 3rd in the series so far. We've already done the Counter Blitz and the Limit Break Precons if you want to check those out. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.